Chad, do you have anything to say?
Call me a god. Call me a god. Call me a god. Let's go. You're god. Call me a god. Call me a god. Call me a god. Let's go. Call me a god. 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 Let's go. I'm about to go off like a weapon. Fuel to the top, got a filled up engine. In my thoughts, obsession. I will not stop, no, I'm never second guessing. I got a God complex. Haters love to hate, but I never feel pressed. Got a lot on my plate, but I never get stressed. I'll take all the pressure like I'm acing this test. Oh, tear it up like I'm Jason. I see the world like it's ready for the taking. I see this place like a game I'm playing. Straight to the bank to collect my payments.
He basically comes at you with the bat. You tell him to put it down. Like, what are you going to do about it? Yeah. And then he just came at you. You shot him. Yeah. Okay. Call me a god. Call me a god. Call me a god. I don't know how to stop. I just go till I drop. Whether it's working or shots, give it all that I got. You can watch me work in my element. Anyone in the way is irrelevant. You wanna cross me, cool, not intelligent. Cause I don't forget shit like an elephant. Go ahead and tempt me, put it on the line and you'll come up empty. If I got time, I'm deadly. Never caught off guard, no, I'm always ready. I got a hand real steady. Look me in the eye and you'll see no hezzy. About to get real messy. I'll put you in a grave 6 feet like Kenny. Call me a god. Call me a god. Call me a god. I got a God complex. Haters love to hate, but I never feel pressed. Got a lot on my plate, but I never get stressed. I'll take all the pressure like I'm acing this test. Oh, tear it up like I'm Jason. I see the world like it's ready for the taking. I see this place like a game I'm playing. Straight to the bank to collect my payments. No negotiations, it's my way, I was born impatient. And like a damn Freemason, I'll run this nation. They call me a god. Call me a god. Call me a god. Call me a god. I don't know how to stop. I just go till I drop. Whether it's working or shots, give it all that I got. You can watch me work in my element. Anyone in the way is irrelevant. You wanna cross me, cool, not intelligent. Cause I don't forget shit like an elephant. Go ahead and tempt me, put it on the line and you'll come up empty. If I got time, I'm deadly. Never caught off guard, no, I'm always ready. I got a hand real steady. Look me in the eye and you'll see no hezzy. About to get real messy. I'll put you in a grave 6 feet like Kenny. Call me a god. Call me a god. Call me a god.
Welcome, welcome, welcome everybody. How's it going? Good to see you here. Y'all know I'm on time. So on time. All the time. Let me get on that screen so I can see what I'm doing. What's going on? How's it going? Good to see you. Hey Donna and Olive. True Crime Addict. Vacay. What's that? Just kidding. One day. One day. Hello to all the lurkers, says Trace on the case. Beach bum. Hey. Hope you're safe over there with all those storms. I was backstage the other day with the God Mod Squad, sorry, and it was thundering here. That's all it did though. It thundered. Anyways, I don't know why that song just popped in my head. Well, probably because it's Thunder. Stevie Nicks. Thunder only happens when it's raining. Players only love you when they're playing, right? Anyways, hey Dog Mom, how you doing? Hey Zero, good to see you. Hey Natalie, hi. It's so hot in here. It's so hot. Melanie Scoggins, how you doing? Yeah. Hey JLL, how are you? I miss you. Oh, she says I'm from Florida and seeing the kids missing got me interested. I used to always ask that because it really did intrigue me. You know, it just, what connected people with the case, you know, what connected you and when and where and with whom did you connect with, you know? And some people feel, you know, they feel guilty, or, you know, they say that. They say, I feel guilty because I didn't connect with the kids. I connected with Charles or Joe or Tammy, you know? And that's fine. It's just, that's why we're here. I think that's what brings us here, is it's like you see this happening and then you're like, what? It's so outlandish. It's so crazy. How can you look away? You know? And then some of us are wishing that we could look away. Some of us wishing we had looked away. I don't know. Because it's crazy. I've seen a lot of people be so invested, myself included, you know. I'm totally invested. And I don't want this to happen again. Although, I know I'm a realist also. So I know that's not realistic. It's going to happen again. It's happened since then. So, it is what it is. All we can do is make the best of it, right? So, it's good to have you all here. I'm going to turn my screen on. Well, I'm trying to finish my cigarette. Hey, Dora. Hey, Christina Spencer. Hi, Krisha. Glad to catch a live. Doug, the day in therapy dog is chilling in the grass listening to you. Oh, poor dog. I hope you and yours are doing well. Much love from Boise, right? Boise. And there's KDH. KDH always, always, always sends me the best articles via email. Thank you. Hey, Chris 10K. I'm from Washington State. I saw a documentary when they filmed Brandon coming to your parents the day after they discovered the kids. That was the Doomsday documentary. I don't remember. Doomsday, the missing kids, I think. Don't remember what channel that was on, or station now, for some reason. Discovery or ID. I don't remember. I know which one you're talking about, though. Hey, Suze. How you doing? Aw, it's so good to have you here. Hey, Lorraine. I wanted to see justice, but learned, right, along the way, there will never be enough punishment or justice for what they did. Correct. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Hey, Moonlight View, Krisha and researchers. Leslie Armstrong. Hello from Pennsylvania. So good to have you here. Okay, legit putting my cigarette out. I know, I'm already late, right? How's Jason? He's ornery as all get out. No, he's fine. He's doing good. Yeah, I never did finish that the other day, which is a shocker, right? I'm ADHD and dealing with this, with murder, child murder, just regular murder, regular good old money, power, sex, greed, lust, the 7 deadlies, right? That ego, though. That ego will get you every time. Oh, do I sound okay? Because last time there was too much. I got the same microphone that I had before, but this one's different, if that makes any sense. I don't have time. Thank you, Donna. All right. But what was I going to? Oh yeah, about Jason, right? So it was a couple weeks ago, and it was a Sunday, probably 2 weeks ago, and Donna had started for me, thank God, because right, like a couple hours before we went live, or we were scheduled to go live, Jason, you know, he's diabetic, okay, and I don't know much about it, because I'm always researching the case, you know, I'm always researching into those types of things, and I just took Jason at his word, you know, about his disease, his illness of diabetes. And so I just didn't know a lot, and I still don't know enough. Do your own research, you know, it's so important. But so I came on here, and I just I guess assumed that maybe Donna had let y'all know, but you know, she handled it just the way I would have handled it, and just, you know, let her know. She let everybody know that I was going to be here soon, yada yada yada. Something had come up, and that's what had come up. And it was, I had the EMTs here, Jason, like I even videoed him because I was so scared. I froze, which is not good. Okay, that goes on with this ADHD thing I have, and I have anxiety. I've had anxiety since I was 15. It's not easy. So I freeze, plus all this stuff, the CPTSD, all that good stuff, you know, trauma. It's a mofo. So it freaked me out. It traumatized me some more because his blood sugar dropped to 19. I don't even know what it's supposed to be. I mean, I do now, but you know, he used to have high blood sugar. That's what caused the strokes in October of 2022. High blood sugar. And I mean, it just, I don't know, it makes me want to cry right now because it was so hard. Just because I saw him, but he did not look present. Like, I was in my 911 call, you know, I'm thinking, oh my God, I see these all the time where people call in, and I'm like, I'm going to sound like a jerk, you know, or just a dickhead, basically. Just, pardon my French, but I'm just saying, because I was like, oh my God, he doesn't look present. He's not there. I don't know what's wrong. I didn't know if it was another stroke, because the first strokes or whatever, they didn't even look like or appear like this, you know, the symptoms or whatever of having a stroke, you know. It was so crazy. So, hi. Anyways, so look, I got this made. Well, I'm sorry, I didn't have it made. They made it just for me. This is the same pendant that Tylee had, that they found in Chad's backyard. My brain's not big enough to hold all this knowledge that I do read. I just don't remember it. So I bought one, and it finally came in. I'm glad I got to. I think it's represents Ty. You know, pure. It means pure life, or I don't know. Yeah, he is better. Thank you. It's just, it freaked me out, and so I videoed him because I was just like, there's no way he would never believe me. Or he would think I'm being dramatic, right? Thanks, Adair. And I'm not being dramatic, you know. So this video, like 20 seconds. I could have called 911 though, is what I was saying, a little sooner. But I was just like, I don't know what to do. I don't know if he's sleeping or what, but he was sweating. and he was just making like a cow noise. I'm not even gonna play. It was like, murr. I was like, what is going on? It freaked me out. So, stay on top of that, and I will too. Pure Vita survived and was found. No, it's not hers, but it goes on. She goes on. She lives on. I've been trying to find some more simple, should I say, simpler symbolism, you know. And so for JJ, it's always been, for me, this is just for me. Thank you, Natalie. I know, we will. That's all I needed right there, was that little invitation. Get ready. But symbolism for JJ, for me, you know, was the Joshua tree. I had looked that up in the very beginning of this, just what it meant, because Lori she's the one that named him Joshua Jackson Vallow. And so, as we've come to find out, there's a lot of symbolism with these folks. You know, I mean, she depended on Hawaii. Things come in threes, you know. I believe in it too. When things make a pattern, or you see something, always look at the clock and it always says 111 or 1111. Just saying. So this represents Tylee, and they have the tree, right? The tree of knowledge, which got Chad and Lori and friends and got them in trouble, because they are taught wrong, in my opinion. That's where this comes from. And they just so happen to have murder in their hearts. You know, you can't tell people like Chad and Lori Daybell that they are gods. Do you see what happens? You know? Thank you, Beach Bomb. Shame on you. If I'd go over there, but I'm kind of, I'll go see you one day. Adair says, it's amazing how empty and stupid they were. Completely void. It's like the projection thing for me it's real with them, because what Lori was saying about Charles. Oh, EMDR. Okay, that's cool. I need to look into that kind of stuff. Let me wet my whistle. Not a sponsor. So I forgot. Oh, whatever Lori projected onto Charles, saying that he was cheating on her, saying, I mean, just everything. Just, she was being a hooker. A very bitchy hooker. And an expensive one at that, you know. So, everything that they were doing, in my opinion, everything is like everything that they were doing themselves, obviously. And I need to stop looking at the chat. I'm gonna hide it for a second so I can keep my thought. But I just have to remember. Everything that, you know, they were doing is what they were guilty of doing themselves. So they were greedy. It was about money, power, and sex. It is. That's what it is for a lot of people. Money, power, sex. And then it's like the ego really kicked into overdrive. And then, oh, she wasn't nothing but a $5 hoe. Thank you, Uncle Jerry. All right. Keeping it real, right? They got the bitch. Oh, Oh, this is my parrain, or parrain, however you want to say it. He's my uncle. Y'all know he's, I love you. Thank you. I get it, honestly. You know, I always, I have the potty mouth, and I can't help it. It's colorful. I'm very descriptive. There's regular English language, there's not enough, right? Anyways, so if you ever want to come up, Uncle Jerry, you just let me know. You're welcome anytime. That kind of was part of the thing in the beginning for me, was just to make a place where, I don't know, where people will come if you talk. And I really appreciate it. So $5, it's $4.99 too much. Oh, right. Everything they projected, though, zombies, deeming them, you know, dark spirits. That's exactly what they are. That's exactly what they are, and who they are. And it's like Lori obviously is very insecure, and she doesn't like herself at all. I mean, I'm not a doctor, or like Paul says on reporting live from my sofa. He says, I'm not a doctor, a lawyer, and such, you know. But I mean, I'm here, a human experience, you know, and I'm just calling it for what I see it as. So, you know, I don't have any licenses, but it's common sense, you know. If I didn't see it before that, though, but I didn't hang around her either, so it's not like I was like, hey girl, you know. I actually liked it whenever she stopped coming around, if that makes any sense. I noticed that she wasn't coming around, and just JJ and Uncle Charles were coming in, and I was just like, screw it, you know, I'm just gonna I am just going to spend time with my nephew. All right, you know, without a hovercraft over me, you know. She is a love bomber, allegedly. Hey, Jet Set J. Hey, A. Aguilar. I hope Colby is okay. I do too. You know, this really does suck. It sucks. So, I mean, I've studied. My way of dealing with all this was to, I don't know, like KJ says, you know, get justice through understanding. I want to understand it, and I want to get to the bottom of it. And I don't want that. I know that was something I was never going to get from Lori or Chad or their friends, for sure. We see, as you see. And so, I mean, that old saying always comes to my mind, birds of a feather flock together. It's true. Even here, even right here, birds of a feather flock together. Like-minded people, or like Sue says, like-hearted people. They've just perverted so many things, from pop culture to, yeah, I made some things. Let me go round them up. Very slowly round them up. And did I? Let's see. This is what this case feels like a damn rabbit hole, right? You know, Mormons murder Mormons. Why? Why? It's strange. That's something that DJ Norman has picked up on. And he told me, he said, Mormons, they murder Mormons. And I'm like, why? What's going on? There's the black hole. There's the rabbit hole. We're just here, you know, trying to figure it out, trying to get to the bottom of it through research. So I went into researching Mormonism, you know, like what's with it, what's what's it about? You know, I'd never heard of Mormon. I'd never knew him. Look, actually, my Uncle Charles, and I don't know where it went. I've shared it here before that I don't know where it went. In my uncle's things that were at my mom's, I was looking for anything of religious significance, you know. So, you know, we had, or, you know, anyways, when the hurricane hit Lake Charles, you know, Mom and them had to go through their stuff. But, so I ended up getting Tylee's Patriarchal Blessing. Thought about reading it at Lori's sentencing. I don't know, it's rather long. 2 pages typed front and back. I have that, and I had found Uncle Charles, like whenever they lived in Hawaii, he did a not primary, but whatever it is for a man, you know, for the guys to teach school or Sunday school or whatever the hell. And the title of his speech, which I saw, I think my Aunt Susan got it, is what I'm getting at. Because I had made a shadow box for her for Mother's Day and her birthday in 2020. And I brought that with me, and I don't remember bringing it back. And then she doesn't know where it is, allegedly. And so I don't know where it went. But I wish I had it, because I would read it. If I could find it, I would read it at her sentencing for sure. Because it was my Uncle Charles's own words. And the title of it was, I Had Not Yet Met a Mormon. I mean, just that title right there gets me. But it's basically his testimony, if you will. Him, you know, saying, hey, I was in the down and outs. I wasn't raised the same way as her family. Thank God. I mean, I'm just saying, thank God. But, you know, we're blinded to all that stuff. Or we're veiled from all that stuff in the beginning, especially when we love somebody, or, you know what I mean? And that love was his downfall. However, it was also, in my opinion, his strong point. He died being who he was, genuine. And I admire that about him. And that's how love always wins, I think, in my opinion. It's got to. So I had not yet met a Mormon, right? And so he just went in to say that, you know, he had gone through a bad divorce. He was an alcoholic at one point, you know. I don't remember it, of course, just little pieces of it. I wish I took a picture of it. And how whenever he met the Cox family, how they were warm and inviting and fun, and they did things without drinking, and he enjoyed that. He really did like that. And he also said that the kids at the primary school or whatever, the youth school, I don't know, Mormon school, I don't know what to call it, they would call him Mr. Lori. But he just really loved it, loved her, loved his family. He loved his family. He loved his friends. He loved God. But he had not yet met a Mormon. And I want to insert there and say, you had not yet met a murderous Mormon, you know? Or actually just a Mormon. Because it's I don't want this to come off, you know, it's going to, but it's not how I mean it. From my experience in this, with them, watching all the stuff that we've seen that's out there, you know, studying, researching this case, it is obvious. The comment, because I always thought, you know, this is a learned behavior, you know, the way Lori walked into the courtroom with her shoulders back, her chin up, with her ramen noodle hair. She had a bounce in her step, like a pep in her step. She walked into the courtroom in March of 2020 in front of the world, God, the judge, my parents, my cousins, her son, even her new fifth husband. She was confident. And I was just like, who in the hell is that? I don't recognize this person. Who in the F is that? And I detached right there. At that moment is whenever Lori Vallow was dead to me. Like, I don't know. I don't know how that works for me, but that's just how it works. And I was just like, why is she so cocky? What the hell? The kids were still missing. She's cocky. And she looked like a damn whore. just being honest. It did not match. Her behavior did not match the severity of the situation at all. Like, how? How can a mother walk in here or walk in that courtroom with such confidence? That's when it struck me. That's when I really dove off into Mormonism for sure. I went whole assed. I was whole assed in there, and I'm still in it. It's, I call it like-minded behaviors because and I'm not a psychologist. I don't know all the terms. I don't know all the labels. Okay, so. That seems to be part of the problem, is all the labels, in my opinion. Like, what makes this? What makes this? What makes somebody act so confident, like, and so nonchalant, and just sitting by the pool, chilling? What creates this? Where does it come from? Where is it learned? Because you see the same thing in Melanie Gibb, David Warwick, Audrey Baratero, all of them. You see it. They can preach it, but they don't know how to practice it. They don't know what grace looks like. I'd read from Grant Palmer, he was a Mormon. He passed away in recent years or whatever, but he made his way out of Mormonism, and he said that, there's a quote, "An informed Mormon is soon to be an ex-Mormon." And I like that quote, because in my opinion, don't mean to offend you if you are Mormon, these are just my own opinions. I'm entitled to those. Just like everybody else, and it's always subject to change, but it hasn't changed me thus far. I've looked for it in all these, and I've looked for that in Mormonism. I've looked for grace. I've looked for, wow, your Bible. I'm sorry. Your Book of Mormon, and you talk the talk, but you don't walk the walk. That's where it seems to fall short as a majority, in my opinion. And I don't know how to get around that. How do you talk about somebody's beliefs or belief system without pissing them off or offending them or hurting them? There's just got to be some kind of comfortable ground or some kind of reality check, so that we can talk about uncomfortable things, because in my opinion, Mormonism, had it not been for Mormonism, I think that, whoa, I just closed my whole window out. I got a little button happy. Oh, here, Uncle Jerry, if you're still here, I'm only going to do this really quick, because Not everybody will find it tasteful, but there you go. Alright. Okay. Alright. Anyways. But yeah, had it not been for Mormonism, then I think that these 5 would be here. And that's my feelings. You know, that's how I feel. They'd be here. Because there would not be blood to atone for. I'm not saying that, you know, this is where everybody is like, well, the Catholics and the Baptists and everybody, you know, just, it's called being a human. Just, let's be a human first. And then you can go and label and be a this or that. I don't understand. I didn't understand the labels when I came into this. I was like, what? What's progressive? What is orthodox? I didn't know all these labels. I just wasn't raised that way. Ignorance, perhaps, a lot, you know. I didn't really care to watch the news or anything because it was depressing. It would give me anxiety. So I stayed away, you know. I know me. No, yeah, there's this one. That's when we ran into them in Vegas. Okay, that was so weird because we just went. Me and Mom. I didn't normally fly, but I don't know. We went to Vegas and we ran into Uncle Charles and Lori at I just had it in my head. Hell, Planet Hollywood, maybe. I don't know. Not a gambler, you know. I don't go there. But that was just weird, you know. It was just one of them things. So I love this picture. It's so cute. There is one picture though. Oh, I wish I had uploaded it. It's the same day as Colby's wedding, as this day. And it has Uncle Charles, right? Now, you see this in a lot of pictures. You'll see a woman right behind him. If you're looking at the picture, it's not this picture because I didn't upload it, but it's the same day. It's at Colby's wedding in 2018. And I swear that if I had to... Like, you can't see her whole face, and it looks like Audrey Baratero to me. I'll have to upload it another time. For y'all to know which picture I'm talking about. And so I just wonder, because I don't believe her at all. Y'all know how I feel, right? I've made that pretty clear. She sounds like a damn... I'm going to play some soap opera music in the background, and then it'll be like, oh yeah, girl, here's you an award. That's why, in my opinion, that's why Lori chose Melanie Pulowski and Audrey Baratero to be her alibis, because they have something on each other, in my opinion. Because every time a murder occurred, especially Uncle Charles, Lori was on the phone texting with Audrey. Why? Why is that? If she was so scared, I think Audrey knows exactly how the kids were murdered. If you know what I mean. There's just something very hooey going on. I can't really share how I feel, because then I would have to be held accountable. You know? And God knows they would throw the book at me. You know, because that's how it is for me. I'm just saying. And I'm glad, because then I don't act like these arrogant assholes. And I don't go out red rumming people. You know, because it's not right. Because I don't have that right. I don't get to play God. Because I have no desire to play God, or be exalted like God, or I don't. That's what I'm saying. That's the God complex thing. And so it's creating these narcissists, these people, these abusers, these pedophiles. It's part of the problem. These just assholes. I don't know how. I don't speak. I'm very simple, minded when it comes to these people. They are vile and empty and void, and there's nothing there. They are the zombie, proverbially. They are the zombie. But what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? So that's what I do. I research. Because Miss Smirk and Jerk here. Smirky and Jerky. This is Lori Damn Daybell. So, anyways. Also, Friday is going to be the 4-year anniversary that Tylee and JJ were unearthed from Chad Daybell's property. It's also my Uncle Bobby's birthday. So I had a couple ideas or whatever, and I'm gonna figure out. I have to try and figure out. I don't know if I will have it figured out how to make it to where people can call in. Some of you who are here, y'all know about going and watching Mormon Stories podcast, or the other one, Mormonism Live with Bill Real and Radio Free Mormon, and they do a call-in show, something like that, and it's up to you. I'll have to make a community post and I'm going to ask you to write your victim impact statement, or just whatever you want to say, to honor the kids, to honor Tylee and JJ for sure. And of course, I always include Joe and Tammy and Charles. I always do. They're always together. And in my heaven, in my quote unquote heaven, they're always together. And they want justice too. And a lot of that has to do with change. Change is the best apology, in my opinion. I'm also trying to find my own emotions so that I can write a victim impact statement. Well, sounds like I'm going to get in my emotions right now. I have not been able to feel since I got back. I've just kind of been in that frozen, fog. I don't know what else to call it. I'm processing everything, or I'm trying to. I compare it to every time there is a document dump, an overload of information, it drives me crazy. I start nervous cleaning. I don't know. I get outside my box and there's no gravity, and it's just tumultuous and turbulent, and I'm always just looking for comfort, trying to, find my center, so that was basically the trial. Lori's trial was basically a document dump every single day. That's what it's equivalent to for me. And I'm still hungover from it. I'm still drinking, I've got the alcohol poisoning at this point. It's so much. And then, so now it's trust me, I've written a lot of things about it. A lot of them are copied and pasted into my notes. I haven't gone to even look. I just am still trying to find my balance, catch my, I'm just trying to figure that, like work through this. It's hard. It's hard. And there's a lot of things happening at the same time. A lot of finality and closure. And it's scary. Because you don't know. It's just, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know. I wish that Jad and Lori had never done this. I wish that it would breathe life back into the victims. I wish that it would, bring them back, but it doesn't. That's just the reality of it. It just makes it more real. It's just hard. I'm just not one of those people that can feel on demand. Flip a switch and just, okay, feel, That's not how I work. And it just is so demanding. Because now it's like, okay, now I need to come up with the words that I want to tell this woman. As somebody that I used to know and love and trust. And what the hell? With the waterworks. See, I just looked at the comments. It says 111. It's crazy. I just happened to see that. Anyways, sorry about that. It sucks. Here, let's just look at that. No, I'm really hot. Something about when I see, Rob Wood right here, he's hugging my mom, and I hugged him, I hugged Rachel, and I hugged Lindsay, and everybody, I don't even know what I felt in that moment. It's like an outer body experience. That's the closest I can get to it. But I have to separate the religion from the human, because I love these people, but I really don't like what it purports, what this religious institution purports. And we all have to be accountable for things that we do and say. And the church is not exalted. They are human. So is the Catholic Church. The Pope, he puts his damn pants on the same way I do, if he wears pants. And that's what this is. The man-made religion. I'm not a fan. To me, it's just man perverting word, or scripture, holy scripture, and exploiting it, perverting it, twisting it to fit their narrative. What is that? There's a lot of hurt and a lot of pain and a lot of violence and a lot of shunning. There's a lot of exclusion, and there's a lot of judgmental behaviors that go on because of church, look, I want to share this with y'all too. Y'all have seen it before if you've been here. This is the blood oath of vengeance. It's just freaky.
Oath of Vengeance, or Blood Vengeance, was an oath that members of the Mormon Church took as part of the endowment ceremony in the temple from 1845 to the early 1930s. In this oath, members of the church vowed that they would pray for God to enact vengeance on the United States to avenge the blood of Joseph and Hiram Smith, who were killed in 1844. In the temple, the officiator would say, "You and each of you do covenant and promise that you will pray and never cease to pray to Almighty God, to avenge the blood of the prophets upon this nation, and that you will teach the same to your children and to your children's children unto the third and fourth generation." President Brigham Young said, "Before the Nauvoo Temple was completed, Joseph was murdered at sunlight, under the protection of the most noble government that then existed, and that now exists on our earth. The souls of all such, since the days of Jesus, are under the altar, and are crying to God, day and night, for vengeance. And shall they cry in vain? God forbid. He has promised he will hear them in his own due time, and recompense a righteous reward." The blood vengeance oath was removed from the temple ceremony in the early 1930s.
This I found I bet I'm not hidden behind the screen. Yeah, I am. Okay, hold on. I also got a Stream Deck device. I don't even really know how to explain what it does. It's supposed to make your life easier. I gotta figure out how to make it work. So, let me hide this picture here. And the name of this is The Secrets of Mormonism. And it's so insightful to learn about the culture. Helps put the context into it, not just what a Mormon will tell you, or what they believe is the truth. It's interesting. Let me play it.
The Mormon Church, also known as the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, originated during the early 1800s. A 14-year-old boy from New York named Joseph Smith claimed to have been visited by extraterrestrial beings who ordered him to organize a new religion. Despite such unlikely beginnings, Smith's followers quickly began to grow. They eventually headed west and settled in the Great Salt Lake Valley in Utah. Today, more than 3/4 of Utah's population regard Joseph Smith as a prophet of God and continue to adhere to his teachings. As one of the fastest growing religions in America, the Mormon Church claims more than 10 million members worldwide and is currently the largest business corporation in the western United States, with property holdings in all 50 states and on every continent. In spite of early church doctrines that included the practice of blood atonement, which required the death of any member who violated the will of the hierarchy, the Mormon Church has a...
And so, blood atonement is why we're here. That's why we are here right now. Blood atonement runs thick, and it's in Mormonism. I don't know it to anything else. So they have, this whole Adam God theory. They have blood atonement and capital punish, and how they feel about capital punishment. That's why Idaho just, in my opinion, this is why Idaho just adopted, however you want to say that, however you're supposed to say that, the firing squad. It's to atone, I don't want to give them that. Yeah, I don't know. I feel heavily against that. But then, of course, they can't obtain the lethal medications, to actually carry out, let's say, what's the word I'm looking for? Death penalty, death sentence or whatever. They can't even carry that out because how they obtain said drugs. You can't just send all the big boys out, law enforcement, with a suitcase of cash. You don't do that. It's called integrity, and it's not here, is what I'm saying. I mean, high five on wanting to get your job done, but do it right. If you do things right, then you don't have to circle back. You don't have to worry. You don't have to look over your shoulder. You don't have to worry. You're just doing your job, and you're doing it with integrity. Moral compasses. Moral is gone. Another thing that I have come to, I'm studying more into is, how Chad Daybell said, he sent a text to his wife on September 9th. And I didn't think about it till I said it out loud the other day in front of Jason, and I was like, ew. Oh no, I said it in front of the God Mod Squad. About how he texted Tammy and said that, he had to burn all the limb debris, and he had, had to shoot a raccoon and bury it in their backyard for the upcoming storms. Ew. It gives me the freaking, that's so gross. Because we know what storms and storm means in this story, unfortunately. And it's so juvenile, and it's so gross. It's just gross. They are an abomination, in my opinion. So I try to look at things at like how Chad and Lori look at things, how they would see things through their lens. I've listened to almost all of Mike Stroud's podcasts. I've read over his speeches. Pick up on his cadence. He has a cadence in his speeches. He likes to repeat things at least 3 times. See special words like foreknowledge. There's Jason Mao with the greater light and knowledge. The light that they're referring to is not the light of Christ, in my opinion. It's not, and it's apparent. You can see this. Christ he doesn't, Lori said in one of her little testimonies that Christ walks these very hallways. And no, he does not. He does not. Because there's seances, and there are these rituals, and you building all these temples. They do not home the homeless. They do not feed the hungry. They do not, in any way, shape, or form, help anybody except themselves. It is a good old boys club. That's all it is. And in my opinion, it's a general, if I'm looking at it as a church leader, it's basically a sifting. It is purge. First purge, where you're just purging out and separating between the wheat and the tares. And that's why you have a church and you have a temple. That's the general sifting. So they weed out and in my opinion, target like-minded people who are looking for greater light and knowledge, who will participate in blood sacrifice, blood atonement, child murder, who think they're, and then it's deception. It's Satan. He's the master deceiver. And I mean, oh my God, true story. Okay, I could not see Tylee in that hole. Okay? Her body parts, or I did not see her. There was a hole in the ground, and it was Chad Daybell's property, but I could not identify anything that looked like human remains, much less Tylee Bryan. JJ, he was recognizable. Tammy, recognizable. Tylee looked like they tried to erase her existence. So, of course, Lori thinks she did this in righteousness. Why? In my opinion, because she was taught this and is still under, not Chad's, there's no Chad cult. This is bigger, and it goes all the way to the very tip top. I can't help it. It's not easy to say that. It's hard to wrap your brain around that. Your mind, your heart. It's hard to wrap your, how I picture men of God. How I pictured men of God before this. I looked at them as people I could go to if I were in trouble or if I were in danger. I could go to them and they would help shelter me. Not from the storms, but anyways, they would shelter me. They would help me. I could go there because I could trust them. I have learned that is not the case. I would run the opposite direction. Because no. Not no, but hell no. I don't trust these people. And I mean, it's patterned. Every single offshoot, every single hold on, I'm gonna try here. I'll let y'all, or show y'all the cartoon while I try and find the other slide or part in this video where Ervil LeBaron's daughter talks. Her name is Lillian, and it's I was like, oh my god, yes, that's what I've been saying. So let's play this.
Regardless of its Christian veneer, the basic tenets of Mormonism are in direct conflict with biblical Christianity. The following piece of animation, based directly on actual Mormon publications, highlights these major doctrinal differences.
Mormonism teaches that trillions of planets scattered throughout the cosmos are ruled by countless gods who once were human like us. They say that long ago on one of these planets, to an unidentified god and one of his goddess wives, a spirit child named Elohim was conceived. This spirit child was later born to human parents who gave him a physical body. Through obedience to Mormon teaching and death and resurrection, he proved himself worthy and was elevated to godhood as his father before him. Mormons believe that Elohim is their heavenly father and that he lives with his many goddess wives on a planet near a mysterious star called Kola. Here, the God of Mormonism and his wives, through endless celestial sex, produced billions of spirit children. To decide their destiny, the head of the Mormon gods called a great heavenly council meeting. Both of Elohim's eldest sons were there, Lucifer and his brother Jesus. A plan was presented to build planet Earth, where the spirit children would be sent to take on mortal bodies and learn good from evil. Lucifer stood and made his bid for becoming savior of this new world. Wanting the glory for himself, he planned to force everyone to become gods. Opposing the idea, the Mormon Jesus suggested giving man his freedom of choice, as on other planets. The vote that followed approved the proposal of the Mormon Jesus, who would become savior of the planet Earth. Enraged, Lucifer cunningly convinced 1/3 of the spirits destined for Earth to fight with him in revolt. Thus, Lucifer became the devil and his followers the demons. Sent to this world, they would forever be denied bodies of flesh and bone. Those who remained neutral in the battle were cursed to be born with black skin. This is the Mormon explanation for the Negro race. The spirits that fought most valiantly against Lucifer would be born into Mormon families on planet Earth. These would be the lighter-skinned people, or white and delightsome, as the Book of Mormon describes them. Early Mormon prophets taught that Elohim and one of his goddess wives came to Earth as Adam and Eve to start the human race. Thousands of years later, Elohim, in human form once again, journeyed to Earth from the starbase Kolob, this time to have sex with the Virgin Mary, in order to provide Jesus with a physical body. After Jesus Christ grew to manhood, he took at least 3 wives, Mary, Martha, and Mary Magdalene. Through these wives, the Mormon Jesus, for whom Joseph Smith claimed direct descent, supposedly fathered a number of children before he was crucified. According to the Book of Mormon, after his resurrection, Jesus came to the Americas to preach to the Indians, who the Mormons believe are really Israelites. Thus, the Jesus of Mormonism established his church in the Americas as he had in Palestine. By the year 421 AD, the dark-skinned Indian Israelites, known as Lamanites, had destroyed all of the white Nephites in a number of great battles. The Nephites' records were supposedly written on golden plates and buried by Moroni, the last living Nephite in the hill Cumorah. 1,400 years later, a young treasure seeker named Joseph Smith, who was known for his tall tales, claimed to have uncovered these same gold plates near his home in upstate New York. He is now honored by Mormons as a prophet because he claimed to have had visions from the spirit world in which he was commanded to organize the Mormon Church, because all Christian creeds were an abomination. It was Joseph Smith who originated most of these peculiar doctrines which millions today believe to be true. By maintaining a rigid code of financial and moral requirements and through performing secret temple rituals for themselves and the dead, the Latter-day Saints hope to prove their worthiness and thus become gods. The Mormons teach that everyone must stand at the final judgment before Joseph Smith, the Mormon Jesus, and Elohim. Those Mormons who were sealed in the eternal marriage ceremony expect to become polygamous gods in the celestial kingdom, rule over other planets, and spawn new families throughout eternity. The Mormons thank God for Joseph Smith, who claimed that he had done more for us than any other man, including Jesus Christ. The Mormons believe that he died as a martyr, shed his blood for us, so that we too may become gods.
Although there are thousands of Mormon churches throughout the world, there are only a few dozen Mormon temples. These massive structures play a vital role in the Mormons' quest for godhood. Mormons must engage in a series of occultic rituals inside the temple in order to be...
Let's listen to this part for sure. And then I'll show you why I think they refer to themselves as Jesus, as Jesus' wife, as all these important roles. It's laced in these, what I would say, a guidebook to blood atone, if I had to name it anything. It's crazy.
Become a candidate for godhood. Only an elite selection of devout Mormons are allowed to enter.
Now here, a lot of people are like, well, they weren't elite. Okay, supply and demand. There are no rules. There's lawlessness. It's lawless. It's whatever they say goes. So until I see or hear, and then I wouldn't believe it anyways, because I know the pattern of the behavior of the church. It's not good. It's not good. It's deny, distance, deny, omission, lie by omission, and lying for their Lord. It is disgusting.
To do so, the potential Mormon god must adhere to a strict code of ethics, including abstinence from tobacco or caffeine-based products, paying a full tithe to the Mormon Church, and wearing of the magic Mormon underwear 24 hours a day.
He has to receive a satisfactory interview from his bishop and from his stake president. There he's asked, or she is asked, certain rather penetrating questions about their worthiness, their morality. If he's a full tithe payer, that is the only way that we can be with our Heavenly Father. Otherwise, we could not be in his presence.
The motivation for the Mormon male to commit to such requirements is the promise of endless celestial sex, with thousands of goddess wives, along with a personal planet to rule and reign over. However, Mormon males who fail to meet all of the necessary requirements risk being castrated upon their entrance to heaven.
So you can see why the temple is so important to the Latter-day Saint, because if he is worthy to go unto the temple and there receive the sacred ordinances and covenants and keep them, he can eventually grow into becoming a god himself.
Tell me who God the Father is to you.
He is like you and I, every human being on the face of the earth.
Oh, is he a man?
Yes, he is.
How did he get to be God?
I don't know. Yeah, he's perfect in every way.
So if we are perfect, can we become like God?
Yes, ma'am.
In addition to the eternal marriage ceremony, Mormon initiates are required to engage in a number of occultic rites inside the temple, including a bizarre ritual known as baptism for the dead.
This would be called, you know how Melanie Gibb was talking to Ron Ball and Detective Hermosillo, and she was like talking about the initiatories. Okay, I don't know. I've never been in a temple, so but I have a very good imagination. It's like I compare it to going to Epcot and Disney. It's weird. Whatever.
I wash you preparatory to receiving your anointings for and in behalf of John Kimball, who is dead, that you may become clean from the blood and sins of this generation.
Sister Bradford, I wash you preparatory to you receiving your anointings for and behalf of
Eliza Barrett.
Eliza Barrett, who is dead, that you may become clean from the blood and sins of this generation.
Chuck Sackett is a former Mormon temple worker who conducted thousands of ceremonies during a 9-year period at the Los Angeles Temple in California.
After entering the temple, men and women are separated. These initiates or patrons first enter a dressing area where they are instructed to remove all their clothing, which is then placed in a locker and locked with a key. Their naked bodies are covered with a poncho-like sheet called a shield.
I wash your head, that your brain and intellect may become clear and active.
Your eyes, that you may see clearly and discern between truth and error.
Your nose, that you may smell.
Ceremonial washings, anointings, and blessings are then performed on each part of the body by a temple worker.
And in the spine.
Your breast, that it may be the receptacle of pure and virtuous principles.
Your vitals and bowels, that they may be healthy and strong and perform their proper function.
The initiates are then dressed in the garments of the holy priesthood, which must thereafter be worn 24 hours a day, every day of the year, with certain exceptions for public athletic events and bathing. But for many devout Mormons, they are not even removed for moments of physical intimacy.
It will be a shield and a protection to you against the power of the destroyer until you have finished your work on the earth.
This magic underwear acts as an occultic talisman, supposedly providing the wearer with protection from satanic forces and their terrible consequences, so long as it is worn constantly and temple vows are kept.
All who have entered a Mormon temple must swear a blood oath not to reveal any of the secrets they have learned under the penalty of death.
The sign is made by raising the right hand.
The first token of the Aaronic priesthood represents having your throat slit from ear to ear and having your tongue torn out by its roots.
The execution of the penalty is made by placing the right thumb under the left ear, drawing the thumb quickly across the throat to the right ear, and dropping the hand to the side.
The first token of the Melchizedek priesthood represents having your belly ripped open and having your vitals and bowels gush out upon the ground. The wording has now been revised to be less offensive, yet each patron still swears an oath that rather than reveal these secret words and gestures, he would agree to be killed by the priesthood.
Our living prophet has told us there are three purposes of the church. One is to proclaim the gospel that we've talked about, the other to perfect the lives of the saints, and the third is to redeem the dead. Consequently, we're actively engaged in doing research work of names and places of birth dates of our families as well as all other mortals that we possibly can.
In recent years, the Mormon Church has resorted to using their Baptism for the Dead program as a recruiting technique. They have begun targeting potential converts by telling them that they can provide salvation for their unsaved loved ones who have already died, thus deceiving vulnerable people with a false sense of hope. Ed Decker is a former high-ranking Mormon who spent 19 years in the church before having his eyes opened to such anti-biblical heresies.
Among the Mormon temple rituals is the practice of baptism for the dead, when their dead are called up to convert to Mormonism. During these ceremonies, many Mormons have had exhilarating and even frightening encounters with apparitions or spirit beings inside the temple.
You don't say. I bet they do. Let's listen to that again.
To convert to Mormonism. During these ceremonies, many Mormons have had exhilarating and even frightening encounters with apparitions or spirit beings.
Is it me or did he look like David Warwick? Grody. He looks like David Warwick.
Had exhilarating and even frightening encounters with apparitions or spirit beings inside the temple. Former Mormon prophet Wilford Woodruff admitted to being surrounded by the dead at one point while inside the temple, and warned,
"Stop conjuring." You know? Ugh.
Warned that the dead will seek out others who enter the temple. Joseph Smith was a sorcerer and practiced crystal ball gazing, or fortune telling, and was convicted of this practice by the New York courts. Smith's practices of magic and necromancy led him annually during a witchcraft holy day to the Hill Cumorah in New York, specifically to seek encounters with a spirit being called Moroni. During this time, he would attempt to conjure up the spirit from the dead. There is strong evidence that in 1824, Joseph Smith actually had to dig up the body of his dead brother Alvin and bring part of that body with him to the Hill Cumorah in order...
Bam. This, I just caught this. This, oh my God. Okay. Atonement. Oh crap, Audrey. She lived in Independence, Missouri. Lori visited there. Oh my God, that's what Jason had said a long time ago. Ew. Alright, let's one more time. Ooh.
During this time, he would attempt to conjure up the spirit from the dead. There is strong evidence that in 1824, Joseph Smith actually had to dig up the body of his dead brother Alvin and bring part of that body with him to the Hill Cumorah in order to gain access to the gold plates on which were written the Book of Mormon.
Okay. Oh my God. Anyways, okay. So this brings me to that post that was made in reference to Sean Little Bear about having to sacrifice a female virgin to gain entrance into this golden walled cavern that was guarded by three guards. Okay, to access this book of Lehi. Allegedly. You can't make this shit up. So it's this code talk. That's what I cut through every day. Every damn day. So they never did think they were Jesus. Chad didn't think he was Enoch, or he didn't, I don't know how to say it because I don't quite know how to explain it because it's freaking ridiculous. He never thought that he was Jesus. Or Jesus's brother. He never thought he was John the Baptist. He never thought he was Raphael. These are these roles that they're assigned, in my opinion. Okay? I think him and it would have to be the leaders that did this, whether it was a second anointing or not. It was secret and performed inside of the temple. Thank you, Melanie Gibb. But not, this is how technical they are, she said. But not in a sealing room. It was just in the waiting room. You can't, from what I've heard, from all the rebuttal, all the lashback I've gotten for saying second anointing, and yet so many people have said you can't just go into a temple like that. You don't just walk in there and just have free reign. There's temple workers. There's the Barry Cox. Barry Cox was a temple worker. In my opinion, if I could just be honest with you, I mean, without having to, this is my speculation. I feel like Barry Cox and Janice Cox were part of these ceremonies, if you will. Barry worked in the temple, okay? I think that Lori and Alex Cox were victims of ritual abuse, and I feel like, allegedly, that's why the odd behaviors between them, that's why the Cox family appears the way that they do to all of us. It's a learned behavior. What's the common denominator here? The church, in my opinion. It's disgusting, it's blasphemous, it's wrong, and you can't just, I mean, I guess you can in America. Right now, the church could totally throw our civilization into chaos if they wanted to. I mean, they were forced by the whistleblower, David Nielsen, who's really, he's an associate of Dr. John Forsyth. Let that sink in. Allegedly. And so the whistleblower contacted the SEC.gov, the government, and blew the whistle, and the church went without reporting their financials from I want to say it was either 97 or 98. Either way, that's over 2 decades of not reporting. Why? Because they are God. I'm just kidding. It's the God complex, okay? And a lot of people, I've bought into all this because I was told all this along the way. We don't believe in the church we don't teach the church of the firstborn. And that blew my mind because I was like, it's in scripture. I'm not a Bible scholar, for sure. But, I mean, I've heard that before, from not Mormon, not the Book of Mormon. I didn't have I didn't even know Charles and Lori were Mormon, okay? That's how much it did not come up in our conversation. However, I mean, I want to pounce on Lori because she told my daughter that she was special, okay? Chosen. I mean, that's a whole another level for me. Like, I just want to beat the shit out of her, if I'm being honest. But, you know, it's gross. It's superiority complex. It's just wrong. So these people are empty, they're void, and so in my opinion the church is pumping these people out 2 by 2, if you will. And so the church would have had to have sanctioned and have Chad and Lori participate if they did not match them up themselves, which I think they did, in my opinion, allegedly. Match them up together, knowing damn good and well they were both sealed to other people in the temple. Then I wonder, it makes me wonder, one has to wonder, speculation, wild speculation, right? Thank you, Jules. If like by sealing them up in the temple behind the backs of their spouses, which are also members of their congregation, whom the church has never come out and made a statement about. They have, however, in my opinion, lots of times interjected themselves into these cases. It's obvious to me. Like, I'm just like, oh my God, it's so in your face. It's so in plain sight. It's so cocky. Their chins are up, their shoulders are back, just like Lori. They have a pep in their step because they've gotten away with it this long. And then you find a Jesus card in your living room while you're asleep, that was put in there while you were asleep. There is a cult. It's just not Chad and Lori's, if you know what I'm saying. And it's a very dangerous and vile, and they don't fight fair. Hell, you don't even know you're fighting. You know, you're just trying to get them to be accountable for the shit that they are putting out there. And instead, you know, they shadow ban you because they own stock in Google. They're a corporate giant. Over $100 billion in the stock market. And they were made to report that. They created 13 shell companies. Fake companies. I have to say allegedly. You know, because cease and desist, you know. I'm just waiting. Or will it be another Jesus card in my living room? Or worse? I mean, 3 of my family members were murdered already. You know. Blood atonement. Purge season's coming up. It just makes sense to me. Call it conspiracy, call it what you will. I call it reality. So, yeah. I wonder if they assign Chad and Lori 24 people, or 24, well, here you go. Here's your assignment. Here's your homework. Wink, wink. And then Chad and Lori, the only thing that they did do that separates from Mormonism, in my opinion, allegedly, is call them zombies instead of demons. That's it. Nothing else is different. It makes one wonder.
After his death, Smith was found to be carrying a magic talisman on his person, sacred to Jupiter, designed to bring him wealth, power, and success in seducing women.
In Deuteronomy chapter 18, the Bible warns against participation in all witchcraft-related practices, since they can lead to spiritual deception and a rejection of the truth. There shall not be found among you anyone who practices witchcraft, or a soothsayer, or one who interprets omens, or a sorcerer, or one who conjures spells, or a medium, or a spiritist, or one who calls up the dead, for all who do these things are an abomination to the Lord. John Heinerman, director of the Anthropological Research Center in Salt Lake City, is an active and devout Mormon who candidly admits to the Latter-day Saints' involvement in occultism.
I, as a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, am somewhat active in what is called the New Age movement. The New Age movement consisting of things like crystal gazing, channeling, pyramid power, and so forth and so on.
Energy healing. Can we just say energy healing? Like everybody in this, it was so difficult to work around because a lot of people were Mormons, active Mormons, following this case, and still are. It's shocking. It's like they deny that their church has any involvement in this, yet Chad and Lori are two devoted disciples of the church. I mean, even after Lori's arrest, she told Colby to listen to the prophet, not Prophet Chad. She said, President Nelson, stay off the internet. Why? She don't want them on the damn internet. Why does the church not want people on the internet? Oh, research. There's the truth out there. I found it. Heather Daybell found it. Many of you here have found it. And many more to come, hopefully. I think that's my role in this, is to just, I don't know. But whatever. I don't know. Is to bring the truth and let the stories of Tylee, Charles, JJ, Tammy, and Joe be told, and not by anyone else's narrative, including my own. It's their voices that were silenced, snuffed out, if you will. There's too many murders, unexplained mysteries, disappearances, missing children, these putting people in, I mean, really, legit. I saw a documentary earlier today, and there's 71% of people who were wrongly convicted and are being exonerated, you know, in modern times, current times, due to DNA. Okay? And that's shocking. It's not just. It's not a just system. It's corrupt from the ground up. And these things only have power if we give it power. You know, money is not powerful, but we put value in it. You know, we're like, oh yeah, money is valuable. We need it. The world has to turn, you know, money makes the world go round. Money, right? Sorry. So, but if we were to say that, you know, money has no power, and none of this, you can't take it with you. When you die, we don't know where we go. We don't know what happens. I don't care to either. You know, I used to be scared of dying until my nephew and Tylee and Charles were murdered, and then I kind of got over myself. And their last moments were horrific. Their last years were horrible. You know, dehumanization, spiritual attacks. That's thoughts, you know, that's thought. It reminds me of that other case with Larry and oh my God, he used spellfinders or spellcasters or I don't know. Oh my God, I can't think of her name. Oh, let me push play.
People of the New Age movement are often more open to the truths of Mormonism, like the Book of Mormon, Joseph Smith working with the Urim and Thummim, than conservative Christian folks who are mostly closed-minded to these things.
Although claiming to be a Christian religion, the Mormon Church does not display any crosses on any of its properties. However, the inverted pentagram, which is known to be the highest satanic symbol, is featured extensively on Mormon temples and other church structures. For those who may find it hard to believe that Mormonism has more in common with Satanism than Christianity, one need only look at the 3rd chapter of Genesis, where it is Satan himself who promises godhood to Eve in the Garden of Eden.
like a backwards E and translated it into over.
A non-revocable eternal commandment resulted in the formation of many offshoots of Mormonism. Generally known as fundamentalists, these groups openly practice polygamy today and hold to the teachings of the first two prophets.
We were raised with the basic tenets of Mormonism, including polygamy. That is what was openly and freely practiced in our community.
My great-grandfather, John D. Lee, was a polygamist. He served under Joseph Smith and Brigham Young. He had 19 wives and 64 children so that he could become a god as God is now. He really believed that God and Jesus are polygamists and that every Mormon man would have to have a lot of wives.
They also teach that Jesus and Satan are brothers. And here's Ervil LeBaron, another non-offshoot.
My father had a total of 11 wives. We were very sincere about all the aspects of Mormonism. We used the Book of Mormon as one of our main sources of knowledge.
Section 132 of the Doctrine and Covenants, one of the Mormon scriptures, say that you must have plurality of wives.
It is a requirement in Section 132 of the Doctrine and Covenants. It is clearly stated that if we are to attain the highest degree of glory, that we must do the works of Abraham. Therefore, we were taught that in order to attain the celestial glory, a man must take more than one wife.
And she just said right there, and I just caught it, that they're required to do the word of Abraham. Sorry. And that included sacrifice, aka blood atonement.
The works of Abraham. Therefore, we were taught glory that we must do the works of Abraham. Therefore, we were taught that in order to attain the celestial glory, a man must take more than one wife.
There's also the warning that any person who will not believe this and enter into polygamous temple marriages, they shall be destroyed.
Destroyed. Nice choice of words.
And enter into polygamous temple marriages, they shall be destroyed.
So the pressure was on always for men to marry several women. That was one of the prerequisites to godhood.
I was in the Mormon church for 11 years, never missed my tithing once. I had a temple recommend. And then the Lord showed me how that they had departed from the original track that Joseph and Brigham had set it out on. They passed a law that a man could only have one wife, and actually it's the order of heaven for a man to have more than one wife.
Are you involved in plural marriage now?
Yeah. The youngest girls were reserved exclusively for the older men that would have a harder time securing more wives. So that's how they worked it. And my father, he got most of his wives by bribing other men with his daughters. I was one of the ones that refused to fall into that, and I chose my own husband and married and had a very loving relationship for 15 years, and until I lost them through this blood atonement process.
Blood atonement teaches that there are some sins that God cannot forgive by the works of Calvary, and therefore the sinner must have his own blood spilled. This blasphemous doctrine not only diminishes the power and the purpose of Christ's blood, but glorifies the atoning power of the blood of the Mormon sinner. While steadfastly observed by Mormon fundamentalists, this anti-Christian principle originated with Joseph Smith and was furthered by later Mormon prophets. This troublesome doctrine of blood atonement blemishes the wholesome public image required by Mormonism's leaders. Today, the brethren in Salt Lake City still grapple over the predicament they find themselves in when having to both affirm and deny blood atonement. For example, the late Mormon apostle Bruce R. McConkie, in his book Mormon Doctrine, denied that the church ever practiced or taught blood atonement. Yet on the same page, stated that because the blood of Christ is not sufficient to forgive certain sins, the Mormon God requires man to have his own blood spilled.
On the 27th of June, we were carrying on our life as usual, and happened to be the 144th anniversary of the martyrdom of Joseph Smith. My half-brothers came into our office in Houston, Texas, and murdered my husband. At the same time, there were 3 other consecutive deaths going on. My brother-in-law, Dwayne, and his daughter, 8-year-old daughter, Jenny, was with him, and they also killed her. Our names were on the list of to be atoned for. My father believed that we were traitors to God's cause and that our blood must be shed to atone for the sin of turning against light and knowledge, as he supposed.
Blood atonement is if you have charity enough for someone to save them, the shedding of their blood is the only way that they can atone for certain sins.
People really thought they were doing a favor in my great-grandfather's day to shed the blood, save their soul, and it's still taking place today. My great-grandfather, John D. Lee, was one of the Mormon men who were called avenging angels, or destroying angels. It was their duty, their obligation, to cut the throats, shed the blood of people who were apostate Mormons, who were guilty of speaking against the authorities.
Jesus shed his blood as an infinite sacrifice, but there are some sins that the blood of Jesus cannot atone for, and therefore it requires the shedding of that man's blood to atone.
For adultery, for apostasy, for marriage to a Negro, for not receiving the gospel, for lying, for any of the other offenses, they'd have to have their own blood shed to have forgiveness of sin.
To put it simply, my father's beliefs stem directly from Mormonism. Not one thing is different than what the early Mormon doctrine is.
Bam, right there. So we all know, we've all been told that Orville Barron, what'd he do? They said that they went and created their own sect. Warren Jeffs, he went and they all splintered off. They wanted to start their own church of the firstborn. In my opinion, from my research, this is the cause for every offshoot in Mormonism. Is the second anointing and or whatever rules applied, whatever the brethren, they never, in my opinion, to become a state, into the statehood and join the United States of America, they allegedly, they say that they denounced polygamy. However, I think that, or I suspect that they had their fingers crossed behind their backs, and still do to this day, because they double speak. They say one thing and do another. They talk out of both sides of their mouths, and it's all about their appearance. It's all about how it's the image of the church. It's the image. They will stop at nothing to protect their image, because there's nothing else there. It is bankrupt, morally bankrupt, in my opinion. I'm sure what I'm saying is going to piss a lot of people off, but hey, welcome to my side of this. This is what I've found, and in my own opinions. But right here, when she says that nothing was different, just like Chad and Lori, it's so the proof is in the pudding.
Of sin.
To put it simply, my father's beliefs stem directly from Mormonism. Not one thing is different than what the early Mormon doctrine is.
The original doctrine that Joseph Smith and Brigham Young taught is exactly what I believe. I'm now at present baptizing people, and I have 5 apostles now, and we're out teaching and preaching the gospel, trying to get the Mormons into the original doctrine that Brigham and Joseph had it set on. And I refuse to give it up.
That's the reason why today people are still killing each other, shedding the blood so they can have forgiveness of sin. And it comes directly from Joseph Smith and from Brigham Young, the first two prophets of Mormonism.
I would just like you to know that if anything happens to me, ever, or to my children, I will personally, I believe the Mormon Church in general will be responsible, because the very doctrine of blood atonement stems from Mormonism.
It makes me want to cry because it's crazy. Because Uncle Charles had not yet met a Mormon, you know. He had not yet met a murderous Mormon cult. It just, I don't know, it bothers me.
Smith and from Brigham Young, the first two prophets of Mormonism.
I would just like you to know that if anything happens to me, ever, or to my children, I will personally, I believe the Mormon Church in general will be responsible, because the very doctrine of blood atonement stems from Mormonism.
Let me come back over there. Let me stop sharing. Blah. It's hot in here. Can you see? Oh. Thank you, Adair. It's freaky and scary and real. That's the reality of this. That's Anna LeBaron's sister. I didn't put the two and two together. I didn't put the two together before all that, and you know, I've watched things, and then it's like, but it was way in the beginning. I didn't understand it, the Mormonese or whatever. Just that in itself is deceptive. Lori never saw Jesus. That's just a saying in the good old boys club, okay? And by elites, they mean matching bloodlines together. Okay? It is the white supremacy factors into this. They dubbed Brandon Boudreaux as being part of Hitler's clan. So whatever they project on you, wait, I'm rubber, you're glue, whatever you say to me, bounce stuff, whatever. I'm going to say it all messed up. It's been a long time. They're projecting, in my opinion, exactly who they are. Secret combinations. And that's who they are. Secret societies or whatever. Anything that's done in secret is sketch. Judge Boyce, you know, sealed hearings and in abundance, you know, the Koberger case, gag orders. I was watching Corey Richens, who's the author in Utah. She allegedly murdered her husband, poisoned him with fentanyl, allegedly. And then threw a pool party. Sound familiar? A lot of these things line up with one another. Like-minded behaviors is real. And you don't know if you're being preyed, hunted, like the raccoon, coon, that Chad labeled Tylee as. And then, yeah, you did you did burn the limb debris from that coon. so to speak, Chad. You did. A coon can be, it's a racial slur for black people. A coon is not pure and white and delightsome. A raccoon is symbolic. You don't bury a nuisance. You don't. I've gone hunting. I mean, if you do kill the nuisance, you can turn their ears in or whatever with the game warden. I don't know the specifics. I just know you don't do that. You don't go through the efforts of burying and digging a hole for a raccoon. It's a nuisance. You go throw it, somewhere where the birds can eat it. To which he did, allegedly. It's gross. They're gross. They're vile. They're bankrupt. They never had it. They never had a chance, in my opinion. The church, in my opinion, set them up for failure, or to fail them, or to the currency here is children. Wherever the children are, that's where they're preying on our children. It's obvious. And there's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people and children, men, women, all over the world who go missing every day. Duh. It makes total sense to me. It's gross. I'm trying to think. Forgot what I was gonna do. Anyways, the whole, I can't get around it though, with what she just said. Lillian LeBaron, they murdered her husband, and then her. My mom, Rhonda, aka Kay Woodcock, aka Rhonda, was on their list. Is who's modifying this list, and who's going to carry that out? Because Ervil LeBaron was in prison when that happened. So was he calling the shots, or just were they making us believe that he's calling the shots? Wink, wink. It freaks me out. This is my insurance policy. Talking out, speaking out, not enabling this church that my uncle sunk a lot of money into, that my uncle and Tylee and Charles, Tylee, Tammy, JJ, Joe, their blood was spilt for that church. And it's disgusting. So, but it's isolated. This don't ever happen here. This never happens. Nothing ever happens here. And that's the one statement you can count on. Nothing ever happened. Nothing like that ever happens here. Eric Grossarth said, some people stole some Taco Bell sauce packets, and I'm like, oh, that's what didn't upload, my Satan taco. I don't think so. Wait, I'm looking. Let me see where my Satan taco, yeah, it didn't upload. But here's JJ.
Say hi, Krisha. Hi, Krisha. Hey, Cole.
He would never say aunt. But this is just Chad and Lori's, you know. Yeah, that's just their secret invisible church. While they're doing this. Right? Just saying. I'm just trying to show you all my things right now. It's how I'm able to be creative, you know, while I investigate, while I research this church. Nothing makes too much sense. It's just Mormon murder. Anyway, I quit. I can't believe I didn't upload my Satan Taco photo and video thing. We are so gonna do. Yeah, that's something that me and the mod team are working on, is getting a merch store back up, and we'll put a lot more in there. I appreciate you helping me out. I appreciate you being here and listening to me. Just back. This is my therapy. Y'all are a huge part of this, of therapy for me, healing. And I just really, genuinely thank you. I really do. Words can't possibly express the gratitude for having you here and just being advocates for these children, and for, you know, my uncle Charles and Tammy, and for Joseph Ryan, Brandon Boudreaux. Love wins, right? Love always wins, they say. And I mean, if I didn't witness it myself, I'd have doubts, but I see it. I see the good in humanity. These tragedies, these tragic, senseless murders brought this community together. I mean, like glue. And you guys help me so much processing my feelings, my thoughts. You know, am I going way off? I'm trying to stay centered, and be fair and non-biased. It's so hard, though. It's become a lot more difficult. I was gonna name this more bad, because Mormon means more good. They even have a more good foundation. So, but I think Heather Gay is her name. She's a ex-Mormon. She was on the House, well, I don't know how to say it, Housewives, Utah, Salt Lake City. And I think the church is allegedly suing her for, I was like, that's the perfect name. More bad. More bad. Because more good means more money, you know. It was more bad. So I was going to put a MOR dash bad. Creativity, you know. You can't just be copyrighting and owning Jesus Christ's name, okay? You can't. You done tricked them out every other way. You can't. I refuse. Anyways, it's time for healing. It's I don't know, it's time for me to get my ass in gear and quickly write my victim impact statement. My brother is in jail again. That happened while I was in Boise, and then after. I really wanted him to be there. He wanted to be there. I don't know. It really sucks. It just sucks. I feel like if anybody should be there, it's my brother. Mandy can't be there. She's dead. I don't know. And nobody said it was easy, but I know it's worth it. They're worth it. And if we give up, then that allows them to win, so to speak. That it gives them power. And I don't want to give them any more of me. I'm ready to, bring it together. And say whatever I want to say when it's time to say it, and where she has to listen. Because she is a destroyer of families. Her and Chad both. And they don't know what it is to love. They've either never been loved and or incapable of loving themselves. That's really what it comes down to. So they look for it in the flesh, so to speak. Nobody wins. I wish that it would have breathed life back into them, but it's not. It doesn't. So I'm gonna schedule today when I get off of here. I'm just gonna put a basic like this, okay? I'm gonna put something like this, as that way I can just at least go ahead and get it scheduled. Because you have to have a thumbnail when you schedule, okay? That's what takes me so long a lot of times. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know what I want to talk about. I don't know. I want to talk about everything. I don't want to talk about anything. I want to talk about anything other than this case. I want to just hang out with you guys or whatever. But so when I'm just going to make this or something very similar to it every week, I'm just going to go ahead and schedule using a thumbnail like this, and then once I get closer to having a thumbnail done, it'll take some pressure off of myself, because I pressure myself, because it's real, I really do feel like the church, they are God makers, okay? They're producing this product, and then it's just how Lori has been. For sure, she's displayed the same behavior when she is done. Chad too. I mean, when they're done with somebody, you're done. They label them a narcissist. They strip them of everything, and then they murder. They play God. And then their church, just like Alex is the fall guy, allegedly, for Lori and Chad, well, I think Chad and Lori are the fall guy for their church. There's too many bodies in their wakes. I mean, it's evident. You can see it. It's apparent. I mean, it's a history. These behaviors continue to repeat. And why? Because we are allowing them to. But we're waking up. We have all the resources at our fingertips. All you have to do is do your own research and find out for yourself. Don't believe everything that I'm saying. Go find out for yourself, and then let's talk, and let's see if we come up to the same the same conclusions? And if not, or am I being unfair? Are we being unfair? Is it, I've had people leave comments just recently even saying that, they hope I find peace and that I'm not going to find it by, they said blaming the church. There's a difference in blaming, I think, and then just calling it for what it is, because it is what it is. I can't help that it's shitty. That's not on me, Don't be shitty. Don't be a murderer. And then bada bing, bada boom. Problem solved. Families won't be torn apart. People won't be dead and murdered and holding their bodies hostage, basically. Things I can never unsee. Oh my God. Justice for these babies. Justice for my family. Justice for all of them. And then a whole big F you. Just kidding. Anyways, you reap what you sow, right? So, on that note, I do want to thank you for being here. And now I'm just blabbing. The Pure Avita necklace. I'll see what I can do. There's a couple people who make jewelry. Maybe I can collab with them and see if we can get some representation or reminders. But anyways, I thank you so much, and be looking. I'll schedule the live stream for Friday. We're going to celebrate. We're going to honor Tylee and JJ. Write you a victim impact statement. Give me some ideas. Let's fill this out. Let's decompress. It's needed so bad. And I do appreciate you. And nobody gets to tell you how to grieve. Nobody. Thank you. And I will see you Friday around 7 Central. Thank you, mods. I appreciate you. Thank you for super chats. All the YouTube stuff, right? Thank you. Justice for Tylee, Charles, Tammy, JJ, and Joe. And love always wins, right? Thank you.